can you explain what is Reiki?
Reiki is described as universal healing energy or life force energy. And it is something that when you learn how to do Reiki, you basically become attuned to whatever vibration Reiki is so that it can flow through you. When I first stepped foot in India, I knew one day I'm going to live here. Battling with these things of peer pressure and FOMO, and then my spiritual quest, like both were going on at the same time. Relationships started kind of get not great. Everything started to kind of crumble. All my compromises kind of became very heavy.
When you really search for truth, usually a lot of things starts happening. Fire everywhere around in life, and I feel like it has to do in a way that so you understand life is not stable, life is in no way predictable.
Yeah, I went to Goa, and that's when I met my guru. That's when I met my master. He gave me the most amazing guidance, and sometimes sharp, harsh guidance.
People listening to this might be thinking like, oh my God, this group of people talking about spirituality and meeting together and questioning these things. How do they survive? This is Dreamer Series, where we delve into human psychology to make sense of people. Today's guest is Mahayana, a Reiki master who lives in Rishikesh. Feel free to listen to her exciting story, and as you do it, don't forget to subscribe. It means a lot to me. Hey Mahayana, maybe we should start with maybe introducing yourself. Who are you?
Sure, yeah. My name's Mahayana. I'm living in India with a Sangha, which is like a gathering of people who are all dedicated to spirituality and sharing this spiritual journey. I'm a Reiki master also, and this is my main thing that I love to spread is Reiki healing and teaching people about Reiki. And I also play in a kirtan band with the Sangha, so we sing high energy, high vibration music together. And also I do retreats as well, a lot of retreats from Bhakti to Zen, Sufi, and even different Osho techniques. So these are the main things that I'm doing in my life here in India. And yeah, it's my greatest joy to be able to share and speak about these things.
Nice. Maybe we can start with the interview. Just like we talked about, it's going to start from your first memory in life, and then we are going to build a thread from there to where you are right now. So what is your first memory in life?
Some of my earliest memories that catch me is prayer. Just in bed all the time before sleep, just prayer was always there. You know, I was raised Christian, so this was kind of what I knew, speaking to God, and it was just like a conversation with God. So one of my earliest memories, I would say, I'm in bed and I'm praying before sleep.
And where would you say this is happening? I mean, this might be happening throughout time, so it's like a spread out memory, but still, where is this happening?
This memory specifically, I can see my childhood bedroom in Toronto in Canada. Just lying there with my little nightlight, praying for all the things that I didn't want to happen to not happen. I was very scared as a kid. I was scared of anything disastrous. I would just pray. I had a long list of things that I would pray for to not happen.
So
this is what I'm remembering.
And who was around you at that time? Do you have any siblings, parents?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have 2 older brothers, and my parents all were there in the home. So they were also in my prayers to always be safe and everything. Yeah.
And what happened after that? Like, imagine you grow up to be a bit more older. What kind of person were you?
Still, I can sense that fear vibration is there, you know, in most of my youth. Everything was coming from fear. And all actions, you know, were just like to be safe or to be cared for. Everything was not from joy or from overflow or from love. It was just like caution everywhere. Even things that were fun or cool, I'm remembering like being in high school and meeting people. All my interactions were very fear-based. All of my, you know, new things that I would try also was so much fear there. So I'm just seeing that same vibration of fear that carried through my youth.
Yeah, would you say like you had like happy? I mean, I kind of understand fear-driven childhood, but would you say that you did you know where you wanted to go in life at that point of time? Say like when you are 8. No.
I had no idea. I was happy, but I had no idea what I wanted to do for a very, very long time. Like there was always this search, and sometimes searching through passion. I loved to dance and play music and do art. Like I loved all these things, but I couldn't decide anything. Is like, this is it. This was like, so I was searching through hobbies or through people, relationships, career stuff, like, but nothing was like focused in any direction for me, for sure.
And what happened after that? Like for say like you have grown a bit more older, maybe like teenage. How was your teenage days back in Canada?
They were fun. They were really fun. I was, luckily I was carefree, I feel. I had good friends. I was, finding my voice, finding my personality, discovering new things, learning new things. So I didn't have too much thought about the future at that time. I definitely had some questions though. When I was 16, I started picking up books on Buddhism, and I don't know why. Like, I don't know what brought me there. I was going to a Buddhist temple and trying meditation. My music teacher was a big meditator, so he would always tell me about different experiences, things he had seen in his meditations. So I don't know, some seeds were planted in me about a search beyond what the life I was living was. But so I was slowly starting to take peeks like beyond the status quo, so to speak.
And what was your like view of the world as a 16-year-old living in Canada? How did you see the world? What is the point of life? Did you thought about those kind of things?
It felt like there was so much to discover. Like it was still a fresh gift that I haven't fully opened. So I don't think I had quite an innocent view of the world, and I feel like I was just sort of eager for more, for mystery, to understand things, to find. I had this kind of fresh spark of curiosity about the world that lasted longer than I think most people do, especially at that age where things start to get a little dark and gloomy. I feel I was still enjoying, discovering, and learning these kinds of things.
A teenage is usually, how I would say, is like very rebellious. Like trying to make your own individual identity and trying to understand the world from your way of understanding. Don't want to listen to people. You'll be like, I would like to experiment and find what is out there.
Yeah, I was trying to find myself. I don't think I was experimenting very much, but I always had a really hard time writing any bio about me. I remember I loved online forums and online games, so there's always a section for about me, and I was always struggling, like, who am I? Am I nerdy? Am I girly? Am I, like, I'm trying to find all the labels that maybe could fit me. Am I kind of punk or emo, or like, do I like this kind of music? Do I like food? And I was trying to put myself in some box, and I couldn't find any. I found too many boxes, that kept changing. So I had this kind of little bit identity struggle. And some people seem so set. They're like, I'm like this, I'm loud, I love singing, I love acting, and I'm a lot to handle. Like people they knew about themselves. And I couldn't really place my finger on anything that I could say is true forever. Like I just could never.
Is it okay to ask, like, at that point of time, what did your parents do back in Canada?
Yeah, my dad was a surgeon. My mother is an artist, and everything at home was very easy, structured, logical, beautiful. There was room for music and art and science all together. So I feel really grateful for that, because that nurtured my curiosity about things.
Yeah, very. Why I asked, because usually when I do interview people, I understand like a lot of people get very influenced by parents. If the parent is a surgeon, the chances of a child wanting to be a doctor is quite high because they look up to the parent. And it could go the other way as well. I don't want to be a doctor because they are always busy. So, but it does have a strong influence on kids who your
Yeah, I
parent
mean,
is.
my dad went to school for computer science and math, and I ended up going to school for computer engineering. Both of my brothers were engineers, so it definitely it happened for sure. I didn't go into medicine, but science was huge in our family, and art as well. Music, painting, and computer science all came from my parents, so it's all right.
Yeah.
I like
And
it.
when what happened after your high school? So what are some memories after that?
After high school, I went to university, and this was kind of a little bit of my freedom, rebellion, enjoyment of finally living alone and battling with these things of peer pressure and FOMO, and then my spiritual quest. Like both were going on at the same time. So I was like enjoying the party of university, but then also I would wake up the next morning and meditate and go to yoga and, still reading my books on whatever new spiritual practice I found at the time. So I was kind of this pendulum swinging between, okay, do I want to live this life in a kind of rebellious, joyful, celebratory way? Or do I want to go toward some, holistic, healthy, purity way? This was kind of a battle going on in me at that time. And I couldn't stick with either. Like I would get sick of both. So I had to keep switching back and forth. So this was still a kind of time of like, okay, I'm trying things now and still nothing's making sense. This frustration is starting to build at this point, I think.
Hmm. And but I see like even at that time you had curiosity on this kind of path. I feel like meditation, yoga, those kind of things, people don't understand how rewardful it is. The kind of reward you get out of that, people don't understand when they are young. It takes a longer time for a lot of people to understand. Like, oh, meditation does give you peace of mind or being calm. But you liked it back in time as well when you are quite young.
Yeah. Yeah, I really enjoyed trying to understand the metaphysical as well, going from quantum physics into trying to understand the nature of this reality and the nature of us as beings and how things are and the source of all things. I was always trying to find something, like some proof of something magical or something mysterious. This was still going on so much at that time.
Or if someone asked you like what is life back in that time, say like you are studying in a university, what would you say?
Oh my, what a great question. What would I have said then? I would probably say I have no idea. It's a chaos. It's a pure chaos of science, art, exploding matter and ununderstandability and particles and waves and feelings and love and connection, and it's a complete soup of chaos. I think I probably would have said something like that.
It's too much to take in, and too many things happening all at once.
Yeah, it's really, or I would have maybe given a very scientific answer of life.
Mm-hmm. And what happened after that? Like after you are in uni, you're having this life of having a social time and also like trying to understand spirituality. What happened after that?
Yeah. After that was a bit of a crisis because I didn't want to work right away. I didn't feel set on like being a software developer, just going into the office and sitting like this. So this was when I took that big step and started traveling. I went to India for the first time after university for yoga. My friend recommended me the Shivananda Yoga Vedanta Dhanvantari Ashram in Kerala. And so I went there in Nayadam and spent a month there. And this is when like some door opened, It it wasn't through yoga specifically, but it was through coming to India and seeing, like, meeting people who were also spiritually inclined. Like, I had no friends who were actually having the same questions and search I was having. So finally meeting someone even who could talk to me about anything like this was a huge step for me.
So you finish your studies, then you decided to like take an alternative path, and you came to Shivananda Yoga Center, which is very famous actually. Like I have a few friends who have visited as well. Then you trained in yoga, but during that time you felt more close to whatever you were searching for.
Yeah, I definitely felt connected with yoga very strongly at the time. At that time, I was like, okay, finally I found some, structure, something to follow. Like I was looking for something to follow, I think, so I wouldn't have to be searching here and there. So I stuck with that for a few years afterward. After coming back to Canada, I was feeling a little better. I was doing a bit of like listening to some kirtan songs, doing a little bit of mantra, a little bit of japa, a little bit of yoga, just sort of trying my way at this path a little bit more sincerely, but still not feeling no fruits were coming from this effort.
I always wonder, like, for example, if you look at mantra, it's a lot of Sanskrit. Like, it has a certain meaning and a certain kind of vibe overall. How, when you listen to it, what do you feel?
There's definitely, at the time, I had nothing. I had no feeling. They were just words. But now when I can hear some mantras, you can really feel the vibrational effect on the body. Like Soham, for example. Soham is so like, you can feel this difference in so and hum. This hum. So like I'm able to feel that a little bit more now, but at the time I was like just doing it because they said to do it. So there was very little.
And it might have made you feel slightly better. Like I feel like you need to have a certain amount of sensitivity in the body to really feel what it actually gives you.
Yeah.
And should be in a certain kind of mindset as well.
I was definitely not there at that time.
And what happened after that? So you went to Canada and you've been thinking about like, oh, this was such a wonderful experience back in India. What happened after?
Yeah, so after that, I just went back to Canada and got a job, started working, and doing my practice. And I was visiting India after that because I fell in love with India. When I first stepped foot in India, I knew one day I'm going to live here. So I was visiting every year. I had, at that time, an Indian boyfriend that I was visiting every time I would come. So sometimes when you go on the search for truth, you end up in a relationship. This happens to a lot of people. So this happened to me as well. But it really helped me stay connected in some way to here and to my practice or my search or something. I'm actually really grateful for that time and coming back again and again to India because it led me to where I am now. So after maybe 4 years, I officially moved to India. And
before we jump into that, I would like to ask you two things. One is, how is it working in Canada? Like I feel like whenever someone finishes off their school, it's always like, at least from Indian point of view, I studied in India. It's always like, okay, there is this end goal. You finish this and you're going to reach this end destination, which is very fulfilling. And then they work very hard to get it over, like all the studies. But when you get to the end, there is no big reward. It's just like, okay, now from today, you work very hard and then you plan for your retirement. Yeah. So how do you feel it from a Canadian point of view?
I didn't want to ever work conventionally because I felt like it was such a cage. I really wanted to work at a startup company or a small company or even make my own company because I don't know, I could just sense that this freedom would be missing. So I found a job in a very small startup and feel really grateful for that because it was like friends and it it was amazing experience. It was good work and totally flexible. So I feel like I dodged that kind of corporate world very luckily, and was able to still just dip my toe without having to get into that same feeling of like, oh my God, dread of work and stress and all that.
And did you work as a game developer? Like, I know you studied software engineering, but did you end up being a game developer at that time?
At that time, I was working in web development. And then right before I moved to India, I wanted to start something new, something creative. I wanted to learn something. I wanted to make a YouTube channel also. So all these things came together in me learning game development, so I could do a bit of coding, a bit of art, a bit of YouTubing about it. It became my new kind of like maybe business idea, passion project thing. So that's when the game dev started, and now I've kind of moved away from web dev, and I'm doing game dev consulting and freelance work and making my own stuff as well. So yeah, it actually worked out.
Yeah, things work out. You just need to stay with it for a long time.
Yeah.
And what? So then you moved to India after 4 years of working in Canada, and then what happened?
Then things started to kind of fall apart. You know, I decided to leave my job. I worked for 1 year living in Pune, and I decided to leave my job. The company was not doing well, so I thought, this is enough. Relationships started to kind of get not great. Everything started to kind of crumble. All my compromises kind of became very heavy on me. And life started to get a little bit desperate. The search flame started to come back, and I was again trying new things. I went to the Osho ashram in Pune, tried some of those meditations. I started getting into like law of attraction, manifestation stuff. Like I was just searching for any way to make my life better or make sense or give me some information on what the heck is going on. So that was like a year or 2 years of that in my time living in India, until eventually I wound up in Goa, and that's where things started to click for me.
Before we go to the Goa chapter,
I felt you were going to ask.
Would like to tell you, like, usually how I see it, and in my life as well, when you really search for truth, usually a lot of things starts happening. You know, like at the same time, a lot of things that you thought is very stable and going well, everything starts crumbling, everything starts falling, fire everywhere around in life, and I feel like it has to do in a way that so you understand life is not stable, life is in no way predictable, and you need to start playing with the chaos, because chaos itself is what you are searching for in a way. So I see it like when people really, from the mind, when the heart search for truth, shit falls from the sky. Everything goes crazy.
Amazing.
So when you explained, I felt it. And then what happened? Do you want to say something?
I was just going to say, like what you said, chaos is actually like all things are born from chaos, you know? Chaos is the mess before the clarity. So if chaos is happening in your life in any way, it's such an amazing sign, because something amazing is going to come from that chaos, you know? Mess leads to the greatest cleaning. So now that I know that, it's easy to say, but when you're in the middle of it, it can be difficult.
Yeah. And then you went to Goa, and what happened? Before we go to Goa, I have to ask you an open question. Yeah. So what do you think about like intercultural relationships? I can see, like, I live in Stockholm, and I kind of understand, like, culturally it's very different from West Indian culture, and Western culture is very different. How would you, from your experience, what has been the hard parts to work with?
Personally, I found it was just fun. Like it was fun, and you're open and discovering new things. And then eventually the problems that arise are just the same problems that come up in any relationship, you know, ego battle or attachment issues or whatever it is. It's a human thing. So I don't know. I found personally the cultural aspects were just kind of like fun to learn and try and change and do. And it kind of, the novelty wears off after some time and you get used to it. And what really is born after that is like the real nitty gritty of what happens in any relationship. That's my personal experience.
Yeah, I think it's a good answer as well. And what happened after that? Like you moved to Goa, or you were traveling to Goa, and how did life change after that?
Yeah, I went to Goa, and that's when I met my guru. That's when I met my master. And at the time, I didn't know he was. He just became my best friend right away. He was working as a bodywork therapist, and he started just guiding me. We met, and he was just selflessly caring about me. He give me the most amazing guidance, and sometimes sharp, harsh guidance. And he was the first person that I could really just tell my everything to, all my problems, all my confusion, all my inner chaos. And he was able to just sort of like shoot an arrow through it all directly to me. And so finally I had some kind of stability or some kind of like hand I could grab that was pulling me out of this stream that I was caught in. And after that, then, we spent, some time together in Goa, and then we separated. He went to his home and I continued traveling, but we met again in Rishikesh. And that's when things really solidified. That's when, lockdown happened, and really I could spend time with him and really receive his guidance in life. So that was
a question I would have in the mind is, for example, like you meet someone and they have their own speciality in, for example, like problem solving or quite smart in certain things. How would you know this is my guru, or this is like a person that I would like to listen to and learn from? How would you define that aspect of following a master?
Yeah. I think it's different for everyone how you would choose. But for me, and I think for most people, it's through small experiments. If you're open enough, you can receive some guidance and then try it properly and see if it works, if it's true. Test it and go, wow, that really was true and helped me. But you have to be willing to test it fully. You have to be open enough to listen and follow some guidance fully in order to really check. Some people want to check, but in the back of their head, they're already saying no, or they're already kind of skeptical. So that's not going to be an accurate way of, here's my logical mind describing it, but really it is like that. You have to really experiment and see the results in your life and see the truth there in front of you. It just becomes obvious. Like, okay, everything that this person is saying and pointing has been completely true. And this grows over time and turns into surrender, which turns into devotion, which turns into this ultimate connection of master and disciple.
Yeah, in India, they say like guru is the personification of God. It's how God talks to you, and knowledge comes through the guru. And personally, I like the ideology, but I also feel like it's a slippery slope as well. Because end of the day, we are all humans. Like definitely people will be in different spheres of knowledge. Some people definitely have more knowledge because of their life experiences, and basically their karmic path is very different. But end of the day, that's the thing that I keep coming back to. Like, it's end of the day, it's still people, and people are born to human error. But sometimes it doesn't matter. But that's, why I try to talk to you about it.
Mm-hmm. And there will be error. That's the best part, is that, gosh, I forget who said it. Someone said, I think one Zen master said that a master's life is one continuous mistake. Like there is never going to be a guru who's perfect. Like, Gautam Buddha was arguing with Mahavir to be the 24th master in the Jain lineage. They were fighting. Buddha is fighting. Or, Osho has his whole story about him in America and all this drama that's happening. Zen masters have sticks and shout and push people out of windows. So the master is never going to be really what we imagine God to be like in perfection. And yet, when you have that connection with a master and surrender, then even all of these things that from outside eyes might seem like faults, this all becomes perfection. And you see the work of all these crazy things. You see the work of, the Zen master pushing someone out a window. You see the work of silence. You see the work of, Sri Krishna in the war telling Arjuna to kill his family. These things don't sound like things a guru should do, but they're doing it, and across all time have been doing it like this. So it's hard. It's hard. That's what the guru is for. They challenge you. You're going to feel like, what? But that's the grace, because that's what cracks you open. That's what removes your inner, blockages of society and conditioning to really accept the nature of this beautiful, chaotic reality that exists.
Yeah. And maybe it also pushes to evolve the usual moral view of the world, not just moral, logical view of the world, because the spectrum is much bigger. And usually people stay in the very middle where it's balanced out, but balance doesn't work in a grand scale. Good becomes bad, bad becomes good. Everything just mixes up.
Yes, exactly. I was thinking about this today. I was thinking about morality, and I was thinking, we don't actually need morality as a set of rules. We just need love and compassion and intelligence. Like, you don't need morality to tell you not to kill someone. You need empathy and understanding and love. That's the only thing. So we've created as a society some set of rules and called it morality, but actually in our own being already is everything you need to just live a beautiful, peaceful, happy, and connected life. So that's where this idea of morality gets challenged, so that you can see the true morality that just comes from your grace. That's what a guru shows you as well, putting aside that societal view and really showing you the truth.
Okay. And so you met your guru, and you during lockdown, you went to Rishikesh. What happened after that? What kind of learning was coming towards you?
Yeah, this is where I finally learned Reiki. And during lockdown, I was just chatting with him one day, and I said, I want to learn Reiki. It's been going on in me. And he said, oh, I'm a Reiki master. I said, oh, perfect. So he taught me and shared with me. He gave me my first Reiki attunement. And it was so beautiful throughout the whole lockdown. I could just practice Reiki, just be in the grace of Reiki. After you learn Reiki, you do 21 days of self-healing, which head to toe, 1.5 hours. You just heal every part of your body by your own hands. And it's like the most amazing cleanse. It works on your physical body, mental body, emotional body, your spirit, your consciousness.
We would need to go a little bit deeper into this, but can you explain what is Reiki before we go? Because I'm really so interested in what you explained. So what is Reiki?
Reiki is described as universal healing energy or life force energy. And it is something that when you learn how to do Reiki, you basically become attuned to whatever vibration Reiki is, so that it can flow through you. And so this energy has quality of just pure healing. And through that, you can direct it to yourself or to others through your hands. So it comes in through the crown of your head, down to your heart, and out your arms through your palms. And so a lot of people might go for a Reiki healing session, and they would just lie down and receive Reiki from a practitioner, like through different hand positions. and this would heal that person. But when you learn Reiki, you can do it to yourself as well, which is like a great long-term guide, basically, in healing energy at your fingertips.
And historically, like you mentioned, like our talk before, it comes from Japan, right? Can you shortly explain how it came to India and to your guru?
Yeah. So in Japan, there was a doctor and professor named Mikao Usui, and he was on that same burning search. And through his search, it's a long story, but eventually he did a 21-day sadhana in the top of Mount Kyoto. And at the end of this sadhana, basically, he discovered Reiki. It blasted him in the face, a big spiraling beam of white light. And he learned what this was, this healing ability that he'd read about, miracles, lay on hands, Jesus Christ, or anyone who had this ability to heal with their hands. It's been mentioned in so many books, but no one's been able to pinpoint the source. Like, what is that? So he actually put function around it. He put tradition around it, and he learned how to pass it on to people. So he passed it on he had an ashram, and he passed it on to many students. And these students would go and open clinics, and they were actually using Reiki even during the war. Instead of bringing so much medical equipment on ships, they would just have Reiki healers there to heal the people. After that, there was a woman who came from Hawaii. She learned in Japan, and she's the one who brought it to America. From America, it came to India through a Reiki healer named Paula Horan. She came to India she was a disciple of Papaji. Papaji was a master in Lucknow, who was also the master of Muji Baba. So she was there attending his satsang, and she started sharing Reiki in Lucknow. And then from Lucknow, it came to a man named Dr. Kuldeep Singh, and he shared it with my guru, Yahu Baba, and he shared it with me. So we have like the full lineage all the way to, Dr. Mikao Usui, who discovered it. And I love to pass it on and share that lineage with people. It feels so beautiful and pure. You can trace it right back to him.
And when I have heard a lot about like passing the lineage, for example, like in tantric traditions, it usually there are traditions where you use feet to move knowledge from the master to the guru. Basically, they keep your feet above the head, and then the energy passes from the body to as knowledge to the next person. But it's just an example. It's very fascinating. How does it happen when it comes to Reiki? How is the teaching? How does that whole process works like?
Yeah. So first we teach theory, like the story I said, and everything about how Reiki works, how it comes through the system, how to direct it, how it's effortless. And then we do what's called a Reiki attunement. And the attunement is basically you sit in a chair like this, and as a Reiki master, I will do the whole ritual around you. And to be completely honest, I have no idea how it works. And even I remember my master saying, up to now, he's been a Reiki master for maybe 15 years. He's like, up to now, I have no idea. And up to now, it's like, I don't know if it worked or not. There's always this thing, because Reiki is its own entity, its own thing. We're just that in between, like the charge cable of a phone, like a pipe carrying water.
Like a conductor.
You're just nothing. And it's so amazing to just be nothing, to not have to worry about it. It's all up to Reiki and the recipient, and you just do the thing and it works. So that's how the attunement happens. And then after that, you are officially able to do Reiki. And we set students off to start doing their first session.
Before we jump into that, can you explain a little bit more into the 21 days? Like you explained about feeling the energy flowing through your body. How does that work?
Yeah. So Reiki has this sense to it. It's not like chi, it's not like kundalini, it's not like your own biodynamic energy. It's not even like prana. It has its own kind of flavor to it that you can sense. So once you're attuned to Reiki, you can feel it coming out of your palms, and sometimes you also can't feel it, and that doesn't mean it's not working. It's just completely different for different bodies. But Reiki is happening basically whether you feel it or not, whether you believe in it or not, whether you're trying to do it or not. It's just happening. So through that, I like to give an example of like when you're watering a garden, you can use a hose to give water to all the plants, but you don't decide which plants are going to drink it. The thirstiest plants will drink the water. So this is kind of like how Reiki works, that you can direct it certain places, you set intention, but ultimately Reiki goes where it's needed most and does the healing there. And that's the most relaxing thing. You don't have to fuss about it. You don't have to check if it worked or if it's going the right place. It's just that. It's that simple. It's that effortless. It's that easy. And I think because of that, sometimes it can be overlooked because there's no doer involved. There's no like, I did Reiki so amazing today. It's just, you really can't take claim for anything. It's just happening through grace.
Yeah, and I take like one step to the side and become like the logical person looking at it. My question would be like, if you don't have clear metrics on how a system works, for example, like if you cannot make any evidence in the end, oh, this worked, or this is the outcome, how is it possible for people to actually trust in the system? And I know that Reiki has been going on for very long time, so there might be reasons why people trust on it. But just from outside, I'm asking you, like, what is the belief? Why do you believe in it so much?
I've just seen how my life transformed. This is the biggest thing. Over time, this questioning and skepticism fades away through, just seeing my own transformation and the transformation of the people that I've shared it with. How, if I were to compare myself today and when I first got Reiki, it's the greatest difference I can't even imagine that the life I'm living and the joy I'm experiencing now is possible. So I owe that to Reiki, because everything that I've done Reiki for has been healed. It's vanished. You can do it for unconscious patterns. I see I have a pattern and I'm doing Reiki for it, and the pattern goes. I see I have a problem and doing Reiki for it, that problem disappears. So it's just through, again, the same thing, experimentation over time and seeing that transformation.
Well, so as I hear, it's my personal experiences that kind of create your own conviction over time. And it might not be visible using like a normal experiment, but it happens inside a transformation. And I have a very similar... Go.
I was just going to say, there's two things also. Being able to feel the energy in my body was a big thing for me, because I always was kind of skeptical about energy, but feeling it flowing in certain parts was a big confirmation. And one more thing I wanted to say is, like, this healing is like, if there's a ship moving and you turn that ship just 1 degree, in some time, like, in one day, that ship is going to be very far off course from where it was going to end up if you didn't make that one small change. So this is what I like to say, like, over time, at the beginning, you can't see a difference, but slowly this happens where you're in a completely different world, and you can't pinpoint as to when you got there, but it just happens so naturally, so effortlessly. There's not like a big moment like this. It's just a beautiful, slow growth into something completely new. Yeah. Sorry, you were saying.
Yeah, it's just to take similarities from this to other traditions. I would say, like, again, I study a lot into tantric practices. So there is something called seed mantras, which is like the mantra that awakens certain deities, which has been handled by tantric masters for a very long time. And you usually get it from the guru to the student. And this mantras has certain abilities connected to it. So once you activate this mantras, you can feel energies flowing through you. You can go to the state of no thoughts. Basically, the energy of the mantra mixes up with your pranic or your bodily energy, and it kind of becomes a bit tuned to the other nature. And when you talk about like feeling energy moving through hands and organ, I'm thinking that at some point with the things you work with, it works in very different ways. It comes to your body, and your bodily energies kind of shift,
Yeah.
and it shifts your thinking as well. So
So much.
you don't believe in the same things anymore. Your thinking would be like in a whole different plane. Like, oh, I don't care about how things happen in the world. Personally, I feel this works for me.
This is the biggest thing, seeing how Reiki has transformed my thoughts. Like this is one of the biggest transformations, because you see your thought pattern get so stuck one way, and how it just, I don't know, it just fades into something completely new. And that is what opens up so much for your life, you know? It goes to the root of what your whole external reality has been made from some internal root that's twisted, and Reiki can just heal that part that's created this whole thing in your life. And that is what creates something brand new and fresh in this physical reality. So it's hard to see it working because it's working on things you cannot see, but the results come out in your reality, you know, after time when that root flowers. So yeah, it's really amazing.
Yeah, it's really, and my friends nowadays, they go a lot. It's very popular in Sweden to go for 7 days no talk retreats, where you go and sit down for extremely long hours and meditate. And you can see like people starts crying, and all this kind of accumulated toxicity or like, blocks that kind of slowly breaks itself and starts coming out. And they feel so relieved later. And this is also something like, when the energy accumulates in the body and you're not distracted, it has its own way to break out,
Yeah.
and your mind starts purging all the trauma or all the pain, or thinking about different kind of things starts coming out. And then once that is gone, your mind starts thinking in a whole different way. You're not fear driven.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Because that vibration is what's like, you know, guiding your whole life. Like I was telling you before, when I was young, I didn't know, but this fear vibration was just guiding me all the time. So when you can really heal that at a vibrational level, even before emotion, even before thought, this vibration gets healed and broken and changed, then like it's such a miracle that happens. Your whole personality changes, your whole everything changes in a great way, in a expanded, clear, you can make decisions properly, you can really grow all from this small vibrational change. And I think you're saying the same thing happens in these retreats, where you have to kind of clean out these old habits and patterns and things that are stuck in our system in order to be in that empty state and really act from there.
And so now you got attuned to Reiki, and you had the 21 days of feeling the energy has come to your body. What happened after that? So what was the life after?
So after that, my COVID lockdown finished, and my guru had started doing satsang. He opened for satsang every day in Rishikesh, and whoever was still in Rishikesh at the time started coming. So every day.
Give me, just for people to understand, can you explain satsang before going a bit
Yeah.
deep into that?
course, yes. Satsang is like a discourse, you could say, where you just are speaking about truth, just this ultimate truth. So people come with questions and can ask him, and he will answer very specifically for you. But also, everyone who's attending really can sense we all have everything, we all have every problem, we all have every clarity. So even just being in satsang is constantly this reminder of who you are behind every layer, behind your personality, behind your identity, behind your experiences and vibration, this ultimate truth. So this was his satsang was always like pointing at that. And yeah, people were coming every day.
And is it like musical? I know you play drums. Is it like part of the satsang to be singing?
Satsang, we don't have song. We have a prayer at the end that we sing, but all of our music is in the form of kirtan. So that kind of came a little bit later. So we were all joining satsang every day, and everyone who was being in satsang became very close and bonded, because every day we were meeting and really, on this beautiful path with this grace, we became very close. And after we became so close, we decided, let's play some music. People were picking up harmonium, guitar, drums, and we just started to sing and make our own songs just for fun. And that's the birth of our kirtan that came after.
And people listening to this might be thinking like, oh my God, this group of people are talking about spirituality and meeting together and questioning these things. How do they survive? So what would your answer be for that? Like, how do you guys as a group survive?
Yeah. At first, when we started, we were really lazy, really hippie, not nice. We were just living off of savings. We were not in a good position. But now for the past 2 years, everyone who's in our Sangha, Sangha is like a gathering of people who are together for spiritual growth. Everyone in our Sangha is working. Everyone has online jobs. Some people teach languages. Some people do content writing. Some people are engineers like me. So everyone earns for themselves, and it's been a really big lifesaver. It's given a lot of stability to our Sangha, so we can really do the work we want to do without having to tie it to money.
Yeah, and the community's knowledge. I understand. And how does it feel to live with the group? I mean, it definitely would be nice because everyone thinks the similar way. So you can really feel like they understand. But how is it according to you? How does it feel?
I love it. It's amazing. At first, it was very hard because when you're with others, all of your stuff comes up. All of your greed and jealousy and profit and hatred and like everything comes up, especially when you're spending like 24 hours with people. You can't hide it, and that's the best thing, because when it comes up, you can see the stupidity of it, and that's how it disappears. So the first year of being together was really important for us to just speak all of our things all the time. We had a lot of things that were just cleaning through being together, mirroring each other, projections, all these things that happen. But through the guidance of our guru, we really could step through all that. And now it's this beautiful, passionate love, care group. I don't know how to describe it, but everyone is just caring for everyone. Everyone loves everyone so much. It's so egoless, genderless. Everyone has their individual things that they're working on as well, their own music, their own instruments, their own therapies, their own passions. So it's like everyone's sprouted and flowered in their highest way after we removed all this, unconscious stuff that was cooking in us and holding us back before Sangha.
And you guys also do together retreats where you heal people, right? Can you explain a little bit more into that? How does that work as a group, and how does people find you?
Yeah, we so we're called Anatta Sangha, by the way. And we do satsang, therapies, kirtan, and retreats. These are like our 4 main things. So retreats will do like maybe 3 to 7 days of a program where people can come and stay with us. And our retreats are usually focused on a specific topic. So last week we did a Zen retreat where we do a very deep process called Koan, where you basically have to keep answering an unanswerable question over and over and over again. And this really digs up the unconscious and cleans out so much. You can see yourself so clearly. So this was a 3-day, very intense retreat we did together. It was amazing. Next week, we're starting a retreat that's based off of an Osho technique where for 3 days you are just laughing, and then 3 days you're crying, just tears in sadness, and then 1 day of silence. So this is a very deep, again, emotional cleanse where you can remove all of your layers of formality, your anger, your chaos, everything that comes up in laughter. You'd be surprised. So this sheds, and then you can go deeper into that pain and sadness and existentialism and even the pain of other people, of past lives. Everything opens up in this retreat, incredibly deep. So there's every month we have a new retreat that we're doing where these kinds of topics are explored in a deep way, and we really love to just connect with people and guide them and share these techniques, and also just hear about their lives and help in any way we can people clear their own things that are stopping them from realizing who they are and from living an amazing life. So, yeah, our retreats are I think one of the best ways to really experience Sangha, because we have everything in there. We have Satsang in there, we have therapies in there, we have kirtan in there, and we're together for a long time.
And usually it happens in Rishikesh.
Yeah, we're in Rishikesh. We're in Rishikesh from September to November, I think. And then we'll be in Goa. And then we'll be in Bangalore and Tiruvannamalai. And then we'll be back in Rishikesh in March.
Oh.
So we travel a lot. So it's sometimes you have to catch us where we are. But we always are updating where we are on our social media and stuff. So, yeah.
Okay. And what is the future, according to you, personally and as a Sangha? Or I don't know if you can speak for Sangha, but like I'm asking generally, what do you see in the future?
Just want to help so many people. I just want to share Reiki with so many people. You know, I'm always open for doing Reiki trainings. Usually it's just 2 people at a time. We do really small, intimate courses, and people can learn and have this healing for themselves for their whole life. I want to do retreats for so many people. I want a retreat that has like 200 people in it. You know, we all have this grand vision of expansion, traveling and just helping people however we can. Yeah, and doing kirtan in front of thousands of people, having everyone sing these words of awakened masters with us. So many beautiful things to just share joy and love and bliss and awakening. It's all about the people. It's all about finding and connecting with people, sharing whatever we can.
Spreading knowledge, definitely. Yeah, I feel like before we end the video, I feel like there is so much streams of knowledge that people usually don't think about because they are very stuck to a very specific sort of knowledge. And that is knowledge as well. How to live in this world, in this reality, how to make use of work and use money. And that is knowledge as well. But that's just one among a whole spectrum of knowledge. And people should always be open to different kind of knowledge and try to understand more than point fingers. What is this? Or is this possible? Like try to really have an open mind. And sometimes it doesn't work for them. That is fine as well. Sometimes it works for them, and then you study more. But there is, it's so nice to hear you are on this path and you are into it and it works for you. I think we have come to the end of the podcast. Whoever who's watching this episode, I would like to go to the description and find her social media handles if you want to follow her and to see what she's up to. And thanks a lot, Mahayana.
Thank you so much. Really, the work you're doing as well in this podcast and spreading this knowledge and all these different pathways and perspectives with so many people. It's so beautiful how you're dedicated to this and sharing this so consistently. So thank you for having me here and including me in your sharing.
My pleasure is all mine. You spend time. I'm going to stop the podcast, but I would like to talk to you 5 minutes after.
Yeah,